Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Schultz again. I'm introducing you to our new read aloud, which is A Handful of Stars by Cynthia Lord. I'm hoping that you, before you clicked on this, that you watched the video on migrant workers and the book trailer for our new read aloud. We're going to be talking about social issues, and there's many that are housed within this text, but we're going to be focusing on what it means to be a migrant worker. Someone who has to travel, usually like up the coast or to different locations for work, and the effect that can have on a child. We're going to be looking at friendship and unlikely people becoming friends and what that means. And we're going to stop periodically to have some discussion based on this book. Okay, so I'm going to read chapter 1 just like I would if we were in class, and then pose some thoughts, okay? And just like any other time, as I read, I'm going to stop to think out loud to myself. So here's chapter 1. The only reason I ever spoke to Salma Santiago was because my dog ate her lunch. Sometimes life is like a long road leading from one if to another. If Lucky hadn't slipped out of his collar, I wouldn't have been running across the blueberry barrens in late July yelling, "Lucky! No! Come! Treats!" Trying every phrase that dog knew, praying that one of them would slow him down long enough for me to grab him. "Leash! Bacon! Go for a ride? Cheese?" But for a blind, old black Labrador retriever, Lucky's really fast. Especially on those wide open barrens where there's nothing to bump into and every which way to go. Wild Maine blueberry bushes grow less than a foot high, but they're thick and pokey. My ankles were scraped up and stinging as I sprinted past another Winthrop Blueberries, "No trespassing" sign. On Sundays, I always see Mr. Winthrop at church, dressed up and sitting in his family's pew. I'd hoped he'd remember the whole "forgive those who trespassed against us" thing. Pot's part of the Lord's Prayer, if he ever saw me on his property. I was praying too, but with my eyes open, afraid if I closed them, Lucky would be gone. "Please stop, Lucky, please stop him." "No, not the road," I begged, terrified that Lucky would get hit by that big Winthrop truck coming, carrying tall rainbow stacks of plastic bins of blueberries. Brakes squealed. "Hey!" The driver of the truck shouted me. "Get off of those bushes!" "It's my dog!" I yelled. If that driver hadn't slammed on his brakes, and if we hadn't yelled at each other, the girl might not have noticed me running after Lucky. I saw her from the corner of my eye, a flash of long black ponytail and orange t-shirt leaping over the strings that marked off the blueberry fields into lanes for the raking. She ran as fast as a gale wind across those barrens, dropping her blueberry rake and grabbing a backpack off a pile. As she got closer to Lucky, she pulled a sandwich and a little bag of chips out of her backpack. Lucky wasn't listening to "come" or any of his favorite words, but the crinkle of that chip bag pulled his ears right back. If she hadn't given him her lunch, Lucky would probably still be running across Maine, maybe all the way into Canada by now. When I caught up, I was so out of breath that I couldn't even speak. All I could do was nod at the girl giving Lucky her sandwich. She looked to be about 12 years old, same as me. Her hair was wispy around her face where it was coming loose from her ponytail, and she had a smear of dirt on her cheek. Even so, she was pretty. She was probably from one of the migrant families that drive here for a few weeks every summer. They come in old trucks, campers, and cars from Mexico and Florida and other far-off places to rake the blueberries that grow wild in the barrens. I don't usually talk to those kids, and they don't usually talk to me. They don't stay here long enough for us to really ever become friends. As Lucky licked peanut butter from his mouth, I wrapped the collar around his neck, a tighter fit this time. By the time I had it buckled and the leash clipped on, the girl was walking back to her blueberry lane where she worked. "Thanks!" I yelled. "And I'm sorry about your lunch. I didn't mean to let him eat your whole sandwich." But I guess no one would want a half-eaten by a dog sandwich anyway. Surrounded by people in other lanes, she swept the bushes with her aluminum blueberry rake. A blueberry rake looks like a metal dustpan, sort of, with teeth. The back end is an open box with a handle or two on top. The front end has a row of sharp tins. You push through the low-growing bushes and then tip the rake up and back so the berries are scooped off and rolled down to collect in the back. It is hard, tiring work. A man near the girl yelled something in Spanish and she laughed. She didn't look up, though. She just kept scooping and tipping, scooping and tipping. Walking home, I scolded Lucky, but he didn't seem one teeny bit sorry for all the trouble he'd caused. Maybe because he got a sandwich out of it, or maybe because it felt so good to run wild again. Full tilt across those wide open barrens the way a blind dog barely ever gets to run anymore. Or maybe it's because Lucky can sense things that people can't. Dr. Katz, our veterinarian, says that when a dog loses his sight, the other senses get sharper to make up for it. She might be right, because Lucky sure heard that chip bag and oh, did he smell that peanut butter. But I think it's more than that. If Lucky hadn't led me over those blueberry barrens, we might never have met that girl, Salma Santiago. And I think Lucky knew that we needed her, maybe even more than she needed us. I have so many questions, and that's usually what happens, right, after you've just finished the first chapter. I'm wondering, why does she think that she needs Salma more than Salma needs her? And why is it that migrant children and children from Maine don't mingle together? Why is that? I guess I'm also a dog lover, so I'm curious as to why Lucky is blind. What happened? We have a lot of questions to answer here, and I'm hoping that in Chapter 2 we'll get some of those, right? So this is our new read aloud, A Handful of Stars, Cynthia Lord. She's an excellent writer. And tomorrow, Chapter 2. We'll discuss this on our Google Hangout.